along with me, he is like a box of chocolates because he's eating a box of chocolates. It's Jody Claypool, and to my left, he is not a smart man, but he knows what love is. It's Stefan King.
Hey.
We are the Freedom Cats. Meow. As you may or may not know, the Freedom Cats is a content club podcast. The purpose of our group is one of us brings a piece of content that tells our story. It's something that we care about, something that we want to share with our friends, and then we talk about it, we discuss it, and then at the end we vote of whether or not it is worth going on the shelf. We tell our friends whether or not their tastes are good or not. That is the Freedom Cats.
Some foreshadowing. That's the vote.
Some foreshadowing coming on here. So you said content club.
Yeah.
When we started this out, it was a book club.
Well, it is a book club. I mean, it's a book club, but we haven't read a book yet.
I don't think we're bringing a book, but I
don't
read things.
You're going to bring a manga one
that'd
day,
be a
and
manga,
I'm just leaving that window open for you to be able to, because like last week, Stefan brought Into the Wild. The movie didn't make it in,
right?
But the soundtrack did.
Yes.
So now we have multiple media in the Freedom Cats library. We've got movies and one soundtrack.
I think we should leave it book club and just never, ever introduce a book. You bring cartoons and music.
So it's sort of like a
random, remember those old soundtracks of nature that you could go test over at Meyer? They have like the buttons. So we could put some of those in there.
And then I like that. And then it could be almost like a Sam and Diane kind of a thing. Like, will they ever? Like, we just tease it. Will they ever do a book? And then we finally do a book one.
Wow, a Cheers reference? How many people are going to get that?
And the book is
the same amount of people that recognize that Jenny had AIDS in this movie. Like, because if you're like 20 or younger, I don't think you catch that.
That's a good point. Yeah, you got to think it's a completely other thing.
We'll get to that. This is the book club, and Jody, it is your pick. So Jody, what'd you bring to us this morning, bud?
Oh yeah, I brought Forrest Gump. So Forrest Gump is a 1994 American comedy drama film directed by Robert Zemeckis and written by Eric Roth. It is based on the 1986 novel of the same name by Winston Groom and stars Tom Hanks, Robin Wright, who you will probably remember from our previous film, Princess Bride.
As you wish. I hope that Forrest would say that in this movie.
That would be a nice little... Anyway, Gary Sinise, McKelty Williamson, Bubba, if people don't know who that, don't recognize that name, and Sally Field. The story depicts several decades in the life of Forrest Gump, a slow-witted, kind-hearted man from Alabama who witnesses and unwittingly influences several defining historical events in the 20th century United States. The film differs substantially from the novel. I'm not going to go through the plot. I'm not going to go through any of this other crap, and we'll just kick it off with that.
I'm not going to go through the plot.
No. It's too twisty-windy. It's a good movie. You and I we previously were talking about this. We took away the same general theme from it. It's a very entertaining movie. I liked how they started it and closed it with the feather and everything in between.
It is a rollicking jaunt through boomer America.
Yeah, absolutely.
This movie is made for those who are old enough to have been a part of the 60s, but maybe don't remember the 60s. And it presents the whole life experience, and very much in the pre-wrapped sort of the Wonder Years version of those things, up to I don't know, everything's very
Hallmark. It's
Hallmark. It's cliche in the movie.
Right.
I mean, he goes to Vietnam, right? And it's like, all right, if you have a character who's about to go to Vietnam, you're cut to Vietnam, what song do you play?
What's the Springfield, of course.
Yeah, what's the Vietnam?
Right.
Oh, we're gonna play it right now. Oh, all along the Watchtower. Yep, we're gonna play all along the Watchtower. Why? Because we're in Vietnam, and that's all anyone ever listened to, right? it's of course, yeah. The movie itself is, yeah. I mean, so it is definitely can be from one perspective be viewed as I think a love letter to it's a boomer jerk off session is really what it is. I mean, it just is just
100%.
I mean, holy smokes, man.
Yeah, it's a commercial for Russell Stovers, and it's a boomer jerk off fest.
Yeah. Stefan, what did you think of Forrest Gump?
Well, I went a totally different direction this week and actually did the audiobook of the book itself. It does vary significantly. Very different. For the movie, I rewatched it again after listening to the book, and it's a very different, very much condensed picture of who Forrest is. I thought, having just done the book movie thing, that Forrest was much more of just a bumbling idiot that falls into stuff in the movie versus in the book. I mean, in the book, he's a idiot savant, mathematician, like all that stuff. And so I took a little bit different view of the movie this time, having done the book right before it.
Let's start with Forrest. Remember our Tropic Thunder discussion, right? And the discussion of how you can depict a disability in film. Forrest falls into, I guess, what I made sort of like the magical dunce column. Like, he's not disabled, right? But he's got this sort of magic about him. Like, he doesn't understand this world of ours because he sees it from such a simplistic view. He's not disabled in any way. Like, he obviously has great athletic strength and abilities, but I think there are questions about, again, going back to Tropic Thunder. Like, this isn't a movie like, he's not Radio. Remember that movie Radio with Cuba Gooding Jr.? He's not the guy from Sling Blade. He's not Sean Penn in
Simple Sam, or I Am Sam.
I Am Sam. Simple Jack.
Simple Jack.
He's not Simple Jack.
That's Simple Jack
from Tropic Thunder, right? It's not depicted that way. And I think that for certain scenes in the movie, it's important that's important that he's not.
You know, what Stefan was saying actually makes the character better.
Oh, I agree.
Yeah, if they would have presented him as an idiot savant, somebody with incredible intellectual capacity but poor interpersonal skills, that would have made his character so much more complex and interesting.
But is complexity what you want from this character?
Right?
I mean, isn't the whole shtick like?
It would have made it a more enriching film for me personally.
That's the movie shtick. I mean, that allows that, like, boomer jerk-off section, because he just falls into all these, like, happenings of. Well, I think that's what I mean, because
it takes the film into mental candy. So the film just loses any of that deep-rooted character development, but it makes it so much easier to watch. You can watch it brainlessly, right?
Yeah.
Well, okay, but then the other side of the way to look at this is this: like, the movie's very satirical, incredibly satirical. Like, the movie really, and you can look at it and say that, well, to remember these times fondly, you have to be an idiot. The only person who has a good time through the 60s in this movie is Forrest Gump, the idiot.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Like, Jenny is destroyed by this era. Lieutenant Dan is destroyed by this era. Bubba literally dies. Everyone else has an incredibly difficult time in this movie. Everyone else in the movie has an incredibly difficult. The one person who remembers everything so fondly, loves the Army. Vietnam was an all right time for him. It's Forrest Gump, who's this moron. He's this idiot. Mm-hmm. He's the only one who remembers it fondly. What do you think of that? What about that?
Yeah, 100%. Well, so I like the character I like that character dynamic. I like the fact that it's his simple way of viewing everything from the positive standpoint that makes him a distinct contrast to everybody else who considers themselves so smart. He's just kind of that, I'm going to keep working, do the next thing kind of guy, and it propels him forward in his journey and helps him be that perpetual success. Yeah. And the running scene is a perfect example. He didn't know why he did it. He just started doing it. Before you know it, people were just following him because he represented hope. He represented somebody who wasn't going to stop because he didn't want to. He just wanted to keep going and for no reason just run. So I like that. I mean, I like that, but it's very Hallmarky, right? It's that kind of ultra positive message, ultra positive spin on everything, and it doesn't really take any time to kind of look at that particular. I like the scene when his mom takes Forrest into the doctor, and the doctor's getting ready to put those leg braces on. Mm-hmm. He's just smoking away, right? I like that scene. I was like, yeah, because there was a whole era there where everybody thought smoking actually either made you healthy or it just was, made you cool and everybody could do it anytime, anywhere.
Doctors did smoking commercials.
I know. So that to me is kind of that was a good place to put that obese smoking doctor character was at the very beginning, right? So, and he was still alive when Jenny was getting her diagnosis at the end too, right? Which is kind of also pretty kind of comical.
You kind of like the whole Hallmark thing. You kind of hit on something that I just looked up. That like early 90s movie, like this is a microcosm of early 90s, like that, like this 1994. The movies that came out at that time were very much, like Clueless came out in 95, Mrs. Doubtfire 93, Toy Story 95, Pulp Fiction doesn't fit the mold in 94, but then you got Groundhog Day 93, Sandlot 93, Shawshank Redemption 94, all these that I'm just like scrolling through briefly, like nostalgia jaunts.
Yeah, right.
The era of nostalgia jaunts, apparently.
Well, yeah, this is so. If it's the 90s, right? Everyone who grew up in the 60s is now in a place where they're making their own art. They're producing their own art that's actually getting seen in a mainstream place, right? Like, Zemeckis, obviously. At this point, Zemeckis he can do whatever he wants by the point he makes Forrest Gump, right? He's got the Back to the Future movies and Back to the Future. There you go. Another, a reimagining of the world that was his, that he, Back to the Future is a very saccharine view of 1950s America. Mm-hmm. It's no surprise that he's also the guy to do Forrest Gump. Man, a lot of powerhouses, though. Holy smokes. This is Hanks at his absolute greatest, though, in terms of power, in terms of what here's Hanks's run coming out of it, leading into this and then moving forward. League of Their Own 92, Sleepless in Seattle 93, Philadelphia 93, Forrest Gump, Apollo 13, Toy Story, That Thing You Do, Saving Private Ryan, You've Got Mail, Green Mile, Toy Story 2, Castaway, Catch Me If You Can. Every single one of those movies, except for Philadelphia, hits $100 million at the box office. Oh, domestic.
Yeah. He is a walking money printing machine. Yep.
He is as steady money as you're ever going to get at that point. You put Tom, he's Jimmy Stewart. He's whoever you, whatever. I don't know what the comp is. Is there a Tom Hanks comp right now?
So this goes back to that conversation we had again, where it's like, is anybody that much of a draw?
In various different things, I'd say probably Ryan Reynolds is probably in the last decade the closest to him because he does the romantic comedy, he does the action stuff, he does all that other stuff, the hero stuff.
He's the worst.
I'm just saying,
he's the worst.
Oh, I love Ryan Reynolds.
Yeah.
I like Ryan Reynolds myself.
I get it. He's not bad. It's man, it's take it or leave it, though. There's you either love, I love him in, what's the one with Sandra Bullock? And
Proposal?
He was great in that. Yeah. Deadpool. He's great in those.
There you go, Deadpool.
But then there's stuff like Free Guy was...
It was good.
Shut your mouth.
It was good. It was exactly what it should have been.
Free Guy was absolutely horrendous.
No, it was good.
Free Guy should have been a 3-minute YouTube clip. That was not a movie.
So this is the world, but that's exactly, he hit the mark on the demographic that
You're not going to talk to me about no.
I'm telling you.
No, this is
telling
not going to turn into No, man, Free Guy's really deep. Actually, you're just missing it. No, Free Guy was awful. It was the worst bit of like, hey, wink, wink, fan service kind of stuff.
He was hitting it was fan service. He was hitting all the people that like to watch those little TikTok-y kind of clips and watch video games.
What was that other video game movie that came out not long
Ready
ago?
Player One.
No,
The VR one?
that was more serious.
The Adam Sandler one with
Is it
the
Pixels?
Pixels.
Yes.
Yeah, Free Guy. I just need it to be almost as good as the hot garbage that Pixels was.
I didn't see Pixels, so I don't know what that is.
That's an Adam Sandler movie where
Adam Sandler post 50 Dates movie that tells you everything you need to know.
Yeah, so it's
video
garbage,
games come
not
alive.
garbage.
So like, yeah, it's a cool thing. Yeah, Hanks is just absolutely fire. I don't know though. Is he good in this? He won the Oscar for it. He was the best actor.
He
in
was no
1994.
He's no Billy Bob Thornton, right? Who are you comparing? When you say good, what are you talking about? Like who are you comparing?
As a performance? Like, I mean,
Freedom Cats is brought to you by JC Innovations. We provide engineering services for medical device development and defense. It's also brought to you by Tippy River Adventures. You want to get on the Tippy River and enjoy the water with your friends and family? Come out, check us out, have some fun.
is Tom Hanks good in this movie?
I would say he shouldn't have gotten an award.
It was painted with the wide brush, but what they gave him was not something that
Here's who he beat out. He beat out Daniel Day-Lewis in The Name of the Father. That was a good one. You ever see that one?
No.
He's like the guy who starts the IRA. Daniel Day-Lewis.
It's another country.
Lawrence Fishburne for What's Love Got to Do with It.
Right.
Okay. Anthony Hopkins, Remains of the Day.
He beat Anthony Hopkins, Sir Anthony Hopkins.
Sir.
And Liam Neeson for Schindler's List.
You're kidding me.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
No, he should not.
Oh
have won
wait,
it.
you know what? I'm sorry. That was
No.
for Philadelphia. That was the year
Okay.
before. That was the year before. Because I'm sorry. Well, but that's the thing. Tom Hanks went back to back. He got back to back Best Actors. He got it for Philadelphia.
But he wasn't beating Anthony Hopkins and Liam Neeson. And
No. Well, here's who he beat in '95. Hold on a minute.
all right.
Keep talking.
So the movie isn't. I think it was.
All right, now I'm ready.
All right, go for it.
Hey,
So,
Jody,
cut to.
start talking so I can cut you off.
Okay, look who listen to who he beat. Listen to who he beat in '95. Okay, so Tom Hanks wins for Forrest Gump. He beats Morgan Freeman for Shawshank.
No, he didn't.
Nigel Hawthorne for The Madness of King George. Nobody saw that.
Yeah.
Paul Newman for Nobody's Fool, which would have been like the last like Paul Newman that's the one that they're like, okay, hey,
Check
Paul,
it to him. Yeah.
thanks for everything. Here's your last Oscar.
And thank you for the dressing.
And we would have done that except for Tom Hanks is here.
Yeah, and then John Travolta for Pulp Fiction.
Whoa. Well, John Travolta wasn't as acting goes. He wasn't that great.
Was
in
he
Pulp
any
Fiction.
better than Tom Hanks in this movie though? Because there's
That
the
was
one
Morgan
scene.
Freeman should have won that hands down.
Right.
Yeah.
I think that's the one that sticks with you.
Yeah.
But so Hanks has the one scene where he wants to know if little Forrest is smart or like him, and like he puts his hand on his chest and he starts like, I can't even talk about it right now, but like that's a very compelling. I mean, that's the scene that they put up on the clip when they're like, the nominees are Tom Hanks, Forrest Gump. They're showing is he like me? Yeah. Like that's the scene. But other than that, I mean, it's a lot of blank staring.
You didn't get the Bubba no. It didn't hit the waterworks.
Which one?
When he goes, oh, Bubba, no. He pulls the fur off of Bubba, and his guts are hanging out.
This film also, his guts are, jeez, okay. His film also won Best Picture. I mean, it won. I mean,
Of course, yeah.
And it beat out Four Weddings and a Funeral,
Yeah.
Pulp Fiction, Quiz Show, and Shawshank.
Yeah.
Is of those five, is Forrest Gump the best of those five?
No, I would have gone either Pulp Fiction or Shawshank, and probably Shawshank. Shawshank is it's art.
I think Pulp Fiction's probably the most influential of those five movies.
Yeah, unless you're talking about lines. Talking about quotable lines.
No, I mean, like, more people like saw Pulp Fiction and said, "I can make movies like this. I want to make movies like that." Kind of influential.
Gotcha.
Yeah. Pulp Fiction, like, you're buying a $65 VHS version of Pulp Fiction.
You know who should have won Best Actor in this is Haley Joel Osment. As a little kid, man, he killed it in this role.
Well, if Tom Hanks got an Oscar for what he did in this movie, sure, give one to the kid.
Yeah, give him a little one. Like, here you go, and you get one too. Yeah, you get a little one.
One thing we also came to my mind of when I was watching this is like I feel like this movie has a shelf life on it that is running out. And by that I mean, like, so our parents grew up in the periods, and we kind of did too, that are depicted in this movie. Mm-hmm. But, like, for instance, there's just more touch points in this movie that I think are going to be less and less recognizable, and the movie's going to be less powerful as generations go on, because it's so referential to certain things.
Like how she picked up a corded phone.
No, well, I mean, there's always that kind of stuff though in these, right? Yeah. But, like, all right, so Jenny, in the movie, Jenny has a mystery illness, right? Doctors don't know what it is, but I'm dying. You know, when you're watching this movie in 1994,
it's obviously COVID.
You know exactly what Jenny has. It's COVID, right? No, I mean, and you're watching this movie in 94, 95, you know it. You understand what the wink is.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But now Magic Johnson messed that up for everybody. Like, you don't like associate. It's not it's not a death sentence any longer.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
And so, and that's just one thing. But I just think that, like, it's so heavy-handed with stuff too. I mean, with these references, like the whole Watergate one, where he goes to I met the president again, and he meets the president, and Nixon says, "Where are you staying?" You know, because he knows a good hotel. And so then he puts them in the Watergate, and then there's people breaking in, and Forrest calls it, and then there's that pan, as if you don't get it yet what's going on. Then they pan over, and there's the letterhead that says the Watergate Hotel, as if to just make sure one more time that you understand the joke.
Well, and they double down on it during the run. Obviously, it becomes a cartoon during his run,
right?
Because the guy's running along with the bumper stickers in his hand. He's like, "I'm struggling with bumper stickers," and he steps in a pile of dog shit, and he's like, "Oh man, you just stepped in a pile of dog shit." He's like, "It happens." He's like, "What?"
Shit, right.
And then he gets splashed in the face. That actually made me laugh.
Have a nice day. Yeah.
That made me laugh because it was like the little perfect circle with the little perfect smile. I was like, "That's funny. Come on, that's a funny."
How does nobody know who Forrest is? Like, when they do the run thing, why is it not, 5-time Alabama All-American, Vietnam Congressional Medal of Honor winner, Forrest Gump is
ping pong champion.
Yeah, ping pong champion. Forrest Gump is run. Like, no one knows who he is.
Yeah,
he does all of these amazing things, but he's kind of like Homer in The Simpsons. Homer's supposed to be like this everyday guy who works at a nuclear power plant, but, like, Homer won a Grammy in one episode. Like, Homer, I mean, there's this thing about him that I always found that interesting. On this last rewatch, I found that interesting, that there's still, the world doesn't recognize Forrest Gump, no matter all of these incredible achievements.
Yeah, no matter how many times he visits presidents and whatnot.
Yeah. So I think, do you agree with that, though, the idea that this movie is less that it has a shelf life that's expiring?
Yeah, because at a certain point, you have to become a student of history to be able to understand those things that happen. I mean, we're talking 50 years ago now.
Yeah, I think what ends up happening is the lens the viewer has watching this changes from somebody who can relate to those activities to somebody who looks at those activities and says, "What the heck does that mean?" And they have to go back and look at it. And this is where you become the student of history. This is what Stefan's talking about.
But and that I'm not going to say that's a bad thing. I watched that TV series, Them. It was about the Great Migration and everything, and there were things that happened in that series that I was like, wait a second, what? I don't know about this. So I started doing research on it, and I'm like, oh, okay, well this thing really happened. This was a real thing. So it might be a good thing for current and future generations. Like they'll start watching this in history class and be like, oh, this is what happened then, and this is what happened then.
Which is why it's a Hallmark version of everything. So hopefully it's just a, hey, students, this is a Hallmark version of everything. Now we've got to go learn what really happened.
Sure.
Right?
Yeah.
Not, this is what happened. This is how we're going to rewrite history is with Forrest Gump.
Look, yeah, it's funny though, because I think I remember this being, because it'd been a while since I'd seen it, but I watched it, for the episode, and you talking about like watching a school stuff. It's not the family movie that I remembered.
Why? Tell me why.
Well, I mean, there's
some pretty serious stuff in there.
Yeah, it deals with really serious topics. And there's other things too, like the scene in Ginny's dorm room, like I would literally, because I do like this family movie night with my kids. The way I remember this movie, this would have been on the list of we'll fire this up in a year or two kind of thing.
When I was rewatching, I actually talked to my wife. I was like, "Do you think this is appropriate?" Like, if in my memory. I'm like, yeah, it's a fun little jaunt. And then I go and watch it last night. I'm like, oh, wow, there's some pretty heavy stuff in this.
Yeah.
Not even thinking.
Because I think I do have this real saccharine sweet like memory of it. Then you watch it, and then that's when I started thinking like, wow, I don't know, what is this movie saying? What is it saying about America? What is it saying about what it means to be an American, like at this point? Like as it takes us through this latter half of the 20th century, what does it say? What is it trying to say? And I don't think it's not as sweet as I remember, and it's deeper than I remember, but it's also I think it's conflicted. I don't know what this movie wants it to be, because I think it wants to be a Hallmark, hey, weren't the 60s cool thing, but it also, again, the one guy who feels that way is the idiot.
Right. Yeah.
And that's not by accident. See, I think you guys open this up saying you wish he was smarter. I don't think that's by accident. I don't think it's by accident that he's left to be a complete idiot, whereas in the book, he's a much more complex character. I think it's trying to say something with that.
Like you have to be an idiot to think these things were good, these periods of time were good. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
Yeah, because, in the book, actually, like, he gets asked about Vietnam all the time. And his answer every time was, it's shit. And he threw his Medal of Honor. When they had him up on the mall in the book, they had a bunch of people throwing their medals. And he threw his medal so hard that he hit I want to say, the scribe or whatever of the Senate in the head with it, and was going to get 10 years until they found out he was good at math and also a physical specimen, and he went into space instead. But, this is a thing where he was pissed off about the war like everybody else was.
And again, it wasn't that they found out he was 5-time All-American Forrest Gump, who, they had no idea who he was.
No, they had heard of him.
Okay.
Yeah, a lot. This is different in the book too. Like everybody's heard of him, and how much of a physical specimen he is. Very different than Tom Hanks. He's like 6'6", 250 in the book, and then he goes through a year at Alabama and gets kicked out in the book. He failed phys ed because he didn't care about what the dimensions of a soccer goal are. But he was in like grad level physics classes and acing them in the book. So there's a lot more to Forrest in the book than there is in the movie.
This might be one of those films that if they redid it, they could redo it more aligned to the book. And
okay, so now if they redo the movie,
questions are they going to use Kurt Russell for Elvis's voice again?
Well, but if they redo it though, don't they have to do like Forrest Gump is born in 1980, and you go the other way? Freedom Cats is brought to you by 24/7 Cars. Are you looking for an affordable vehicle that you'll love? Then come see us at 24/7 Cars. With 2 locations to serve you in Larwell and Bluffton, you'll find what you're looking for at 24/7 Cars.
Well, they talked for a while about Forrest Gump too. About his son.
No, Forrest Gump 2 script was written. I found that in the research. Script was written by the same guy, Tim Roth.
Eric Roth.
Yeah. Eric Roth wrote a screenplay, was ready to go, submitted it on September 9th, 2001. Haley Joel Osment was on fire at that moment. Sixth Sense had just come out. They were like, he was the kid. They had him locked in. Yeah, let's go. Turns in the script for Forrest Gump 2 on September 9th, 2001. 9/11 happens. Few days after that, they kind of come to realization that, well, maybe this stuff isn't this is just a bad idea. So I think there was whatever was in that script, maybe it dealt with what I'm kind of talking about, right? So Forrest Gump's kid went to Afghanistan or some stuff like that, right? Maybe where anyway, 9/11 killed Forrest Gump too.
Well, Elvis wasn't in the book. Neither were the leg braces. A lot of the kid stuff got changed.
Oh, okay.
But if you're remaking this movie, do you still put it in the 50s from like 50 to 80, or do you go 80 to the 2000s?
If I was remaking it, I would remake it according more aligned to what the book sounds like it was.
I would skip the 80 to the 2000s. I would probably start at 2000 and on. Maybe the kid is born in the 80s, and then you go into the 2000s and you've got, the wars on 2 fronts and, the terrorism and all that type of stuff. The thing about the movie is that it deals with a lot of heavy stuff in a lighthearted manner almost. And was there really a lot of like heavy shit in the 90s? I don't remember there being necessarily.
Well, yeah, we had wars. Like,
well, Iraq War, 91 to 94 or something like that. Yeah. But that was a quick in and out. I mean, 18-year war in Afghanistan, 12-year war in Iraq.
Yeah, I mean, you come at me with like 18-year war in Afghanistan. You come at me with like the Babe Ruth of wars. No, we didn't.
I'm weighing the decades. Is what I'm doing.
You come at me like
what's
give me
the
a comp,
appropriate time?
Well, so Vietnam was such a good story to craft the movie around because there was so much real conflict, legitimate conflict on both sides.
Sure,
like that was a war now history has said we should never have been in, right? So the people who are at the mall doing the protesting had a legitimate case for all of it. The soldiers, though, were not the villains, even though they were made the villains. So you've got that really good, clear contrast between people who went and served and thought they were doing their patriotic duty and those people who literally had a good case and were kind of seeing more clearly than everybody else through the propaganda that was being peddled in the United States and said, no, we don't need to be here. No, we don't need to be in Vietnam. So that was I think that's a good conflict for them to build that story around. But they didn't do a good job with it in the movie. So I don't know how they did it in the book, but they could do a better job.
Well, I mean, the movie's it's not a Vietnam movie, right? I mean, because he also, but part of it takes place in Vietnam, but it also part of it takes place in the years prior and the years before. Yeah. So it doesn't need, I don't need to legislate the Vietnam War in this movie. Your point's well taken. I get what you're saying. But as for like the 90s, I think though, Forrest Gump killed the .coms, Forrest Gump found the blue dress. Forrest Gump,
you want something relatable to what you have.
I'm just saying, if you redid it, those are the
Yeah. Or make it so it's more relatable to the kids today, so they can go look at it. If same age we were when we watched the movie.
Yeah, Forrest Gump messed up the housing market in 2008.
Yeah. He was the one who created the derivative problem.
Yeah, right. Forrest Gump was like,
subprimes. Oh, Mama said subprimes. Blah blah blah.
Yeah. Cars for cash. I think. You could. Yeah. That's Forrest Gump meets a young Obama. I think everybody should have health care. And then he carries that on.
Yeah. Like, okay. All right.
When you say that way, of course, yeah.
Right. That's what the movie would. I mean, I think that's what it would be. I don't know what the 9/11 touch point would be for Forrest, but I mean
that would be the one really heavy thing that he'd have to contend with.
Right. Mm-hmm. Well, and that's the thing too. Like, I don't know if people will. Is the aw shucks? I don't know why that. Like, he's very when he talks about presidents getting assassinated, and he just has that. And that man got shot in the head too. I don't know why. And we're supposed to look at it like, oh, Forrest. Must be nice to be so simple-minded, and you can just ask that question why. But so I don't know. I think I don't know that this movie plays in 2020 like it did in '95. Like, I don't think if this movie was released this year, I don't think it'd be as beloved as it was when it was released in '95.
Yeah, no, I agree. Well,
Sure.
no, I think it would be. I don't know about whether or not it'd be as beloved. I just think the audience would view it differently than we view it.
Yeah.
When we watch it.
It'd be a very different movie too.
Yeah.
I mean, you don't see Hallmark movies at the theaters anymore. They're pretty dark. A lot of movies are very dark.
Yeah.
Ooh, a dark and gritty Forrest Gump. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah, preach, brother. Come on.
Yeah, I mean, that'd be
With Ryan
a
Reynolds.
fun thing. Yeah, Ryan Reynolds as Forrest Gump.
Yeah, who's Forrest Gump in the remake?
Ryan Reynolds.
No, no.
Stop. Leo? No, he's
no.
done. He did the Gilbert Grape thing. He's already done
Yeah.
that.
No, I think they'd probably pull from one of the new generations, like the Batman, the villains in the Batman, those kids.
Okay.
You know who I'm talking about? I'm gonna have to look it up.
Paul
But
Dano?
Paul Dano, and who is the like little quip of the Joker? He was actually in.
Oh, I don't know who that guy is.
He was in Eternals, wasn't he?
I
don't know.
Probably.
Anyway, yeah, there's this new crop.
Jody could have been in Eternals, and I
people.
wouldn't remember.
Yeah, I'm not. Is that a Marvel movie?
Yeah.
Yeah, barely.
Okay.
It's real bad.
Yeah, it's not good.
Okay.
Anyway, I think it would be this new crop of actors that they would pick because they like unknowns for characters.
Right. Yeah. Oh, you could go through the Game of Thrones cast. There you go.
You could definitely do that for sure.
There you go. All right. Well, anything else about Forrest Gump before we...
Favorite lines. This is a quotable movie.
I don't know if it's a lines, but I love the drill sergeant.
Oh yeah.
Who, like, you expect him to be like,
You must be a goddamn genius.
right. Like, you expect him to be, Full Metal Jacket, Lee Army kind of thing. And he's just like, you're going to be a general someday.
Yeah.
Like,
Why did you do that so fast, Forrest?
you told me to, drill sergeant. I love that whole thing.
Yeah.
I do. But again, he's going to be a general someday. Why? Because he's an idiot. That's a statement. That is a statement that this movie is making. This guy could go. He will be a 5-star general one day because he's an idiot that just does what he's told.
Yeah. That's what this movie says for sure.
Yeah.
I like the we invested in a fruit company, and
Yeah,
we
it was
Dan
Apple.
said we didn't have to worry about money anymore. And I said, well, okay,
That's one less thing.
that's one less thing. Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, I think those are the things that you remember about the movie. So when when you sit there and you're like, yeah, I could watch this with the kids. It's about the guy invested in it. Then you're like, oh wait, no, there's also some pretty rough things.
Yeah. Oh, the hurricane. It brings all the shrimp for him.
Yeah.
Okay, so Dorothy Harris, the actress that plays Dorothy Harris.
Uh-huh.
Her name's Seal on whatever. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Yeah.
The bus driver.
The bus driver.
Yeah.
Right? So what's the other movie? I want to see if you guys know the other movie or if it pops into your head, because I saw her and I immediately thought of this other movie, and I thought, I wonder if that's the only two places
she is from something. What
I have no
else?
clue.
What else was
Men in Black.
What is she in? Who is she in?
So
Men in Black?
the first one where the guy, what's his name, puts on Vincent D'Onofrio puts on the farmers.
Oh, is that the wife?
It's the wife.
Oh.
I saw her and I was like, oh crap, she's the wife from Men in Black. And I thought, I wonder if those are the only two films she's ever been in. And I immediately recognized her because she's got that that look, that's just immediately recognizable.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What about you? Favorite lines, favorite scenes?
I mean, there's all the typical quips. What, again, doing the book and the movie, the life is like a box of chocolates.
We get it. You read the book.
I didn't read the book.
No one's.
I do not read.
Nothing's better than, hey, I read the book, guy.
Is the Russell Stover's packaging anachronistic? Because they didn't change the candy packaging through the timeline. Did you notice that?
No. What?
Yeah, if he goes and gives her that box of chocolates in the college dorm. It's the same box of chocolates he gives her when she's got AIDS in the apartment complex.
You think he's just being cheap? He's just taking the same box back to her, or like having three chocolates out of it over time, and just be like, "Hey, here's the rest of that box. You remember this thing?"
Yeah,
that would be funny. That's funny.
So I did some theory digging on this movie.
Okay, come on now. You gotta give us some of the nitty gritty.
So the biggest theory about this movie is that Forrest is dead. That when Forrest breaks out of his magic leg braces, he's breaking free of the bonds of Earth.
So they actually killed him when they hit him with the rock?
When they hit him with the rock, he died. And he's imagining what his life could have been had he lived.
Whoa. That's phenomenal. Wow.
That's the prevailing Reddit theory. I think it's a new bit I'm going to start doing on the show.
Like Reddit theories.
Yeah, Reddit theories. Yeah, Reddit theories on the movie. All right.
Where would you have put George Clinton in this?
Where is George
in the disco, man?
Yeah, no, George. Yeah, when she's doing when it's like the, when she's at the disco
right before Freebird.
Right before Freebird. Yeah, right before Freebird. And maybe it's not Freebird, maybe it's something like Get Up Off of That Thing. Or, no, it's got to be Freebird. But again, it's got to be Freebird because so is this movie cliche with those kind of choices, or did this movie make those choices cliche?
This movie is cliche. I mean, you go into any bar in the 90s, and you can pull this playlist right off of the variety band that's up on stage right there.
But the
soundtrack's pretty killer though.
Soundtrack's great. I mean, as far as like that history, like, oh, I like this song. I like this song. I like this song. Like they just went through and looked at Billboard's top 50 and was like, oh, this was a number 1 hit, or this was a number 2 hit from this year. Let's do it.
But there was,
Let's find a place
100%. Yeah, the 2 disc set, the blue one and the red one. Yeah. I mean, it was a monster. But I guess what I'm asking is like there are like in movies there are these tropes where you're like, oh, going to Vietnam, got to play All Along the Watchtower while some helicopters come over the swamp, right? Yeah, like. Was that movie cliche before this movie, or did this movie make that cliche? Like, you're in the 70s, got to play free. Oh, you're in the 70s and things aren't going well. Got to play that. Got to play the guitar solo from Freebird.
Right?
Like,
no, I don't think that. I don't think this movie made the cliche. This movie just
embraces the cliches.
Yeah, it knew what
it knows it hits. I mean, the movie is kind of. You know what? Yeah. You're right. This movie, you know what the vibe this movie is? It is a greatest hits album vibe, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Like,
that's a great way to say it.
When your favorite artist puts out their greatest hits, right? You know that feeling. You get it. You get it anyway because it's your band, right? And you support you got those bands, right? That they put something out, you're getting it. It might be hot garbage, but you get the greatest hits, and it's like all the songs you already have on different things, but now it's all in one place. That's what this movie feels like. It's all the emotional feels that you're familiar with in other movies, other cliches, other things.
Boomer greatest hits is what you're saying.
It is a boomer greatest hits.
Boomer greatest hits.
Boom. Nailed it.
And you have to be an idiot to look at it fondly.
Yeah.
That's what this movie's saying.
Robin Wright, how'd she do?
Did she win an award? Best.
Did she win an award for this? She should have won an award for this.
No, I'm a big Robin Wright.
No, she did a very good job.
She's fantastic.
Yeah. Was this the second?
Criminally underused.
Yes.
Criminally underused. Yes. Robin Wright. She's I'm gonna say it. She's on George Clinton level. She would make every movie better.
Can we say that about most of the cast of
except for Wonder Woman?
Princess Bride?
She did not do any favors to Wonder Woman.
Freedom Cats podcast is brought to you by Hoplar Brewing with 2 locations in the historic Leesburg Mill and the new location on Market Street. We brew with innovation.
Oh, she was all right. Yeah,
It wasn't a great
she
casting.
came out. She did her thing. She was badass. She was built. She hit
She
the
looked
gym,
great. Yeah.
rode on a horse, killed some computer aliens. She did her thing.
Yeah.
First Wonder Woman's good.
Second one's awful.
Second one was
Speaking of historical jaunts that don't play well, like 1984. Ugh.
they tried something with that movie.
They tried
tried something with that movie. That movie, man, I tell you what, like
That's participation trophy.
I think that was like
movie
2020.
Right there.
I put out my like top 10 movies of 2020, and that movie was supposed to come out in 2020. But you know what? I haven't even seen Wonder Woman 2 yet. But the first one was so good, I'm putting it on. I was wrong.
So much for that.
I was wrong. That's tough. Yes, Robin Wright's fantastic in this. Bubba, and we didn't really talk about Forrest and Bubba. I think Bubba is the true love of his life. I think that that friendship that's depicted in this movie is absolutely beautiful.
Yeah.
And just the way he,
I gotta get Bubba.
yeah,
He just keeps going back. Yep.
yeah, and then the way he takes care of his family afterward. Oh, the scene where she's like where they set
She
it up,
faints.
but when she sets it up that like she cooks shrimp. And her mama cooks shrimp,
and then they switched it. Yeah.
and then say that white lady's bringing her shrimp.
Yeah.
That was awesome. That was a good.
There was a little as he was going into the shrimping business. There was that little montage of "Are you stupid?" And Mama was in that as well.
yeah,
Yeah.
love that. Anything else, boys? Ready to vote?
I'm ready.
Yeah.
Let's do it.
All right. Stefan, what's your vote?
I gotta vote yes. I mean, it's an entertaining movie. Like we trashed it the whole time, and then at the end I'm gonna vote yes. It's one of those movies that you can sit down and watch, and it's a Hallmark movie. For me now, it's a background movie. Like there's so many spots you can just pick up and like right where you're at.
Jody.
Yes to the film and the soundtrack.
Okay. I'm a no. And it's not for any other reason.
Then Shogun.
No. This is not me enacting my
Shogun
righteous
assassin.
vengeance. By the way,
Oh, trust me, I understand that there is righteous vengeance here. How many of our picks have you voted no on since Shogun Assassin? Both of them.
Hey, I can't. They're garbage picks. What do you want me to say?
If he had carrots, he'd be throwing them through our strollers right now.
Yes, he would.
No, look, the overwhelmingly positive reaction to that episode was all the justification I needed that you two are just full of shit on that vote. I'm fine with it. Here's why I'm a no. For me to vote, this is a movie that I have held in such high regard for so long in my mind. Like watching it, I was disappointed with it. It wasn't as good as I remembered. And I think that will be the continuing case. It won't be as good as I remembered. And I mean, I know all the scenes, I know the beats, but it's not as good as I remembered. I think that it's kind of muggy in what it's trying to say. I think you can see this movie as a complete boomer jerk-off session. I think you can see this movie as a situation where you're saying, as an indictment of the boomer generation and everything they're about. Like, you got to be an idiot to think that America is great. I think that
You saying this is the OK Boomer anthem
he
movie?
sounds pretty cynical, doesn't he?
It sounds like the OK Boomer, soundtrack basically.
1,000%. No, this is our movie. Like, this is the movie that just completely, in the same way that like Saving Private Ryan is the love letter to the greatest greatest generation.
Sure.
This is the boomer love letter movie, and it doesn't know what it wants to be. The movie itself doesn't know what it wants to be.
I disagree. I think it's supposed to be the greatest hits, cliche, super over saccharine version of everything. That's what it's
Then
supposed
if it is just that, and I'm reading too much into it on the other stuff, then it's a definite no. It's a definite no. If it's really meant to just be, if it's meant to be such a
enjoy the candy, man. Get it all over your teeth.
Yeah, this one's not for me, boys. But however, we respect the vote on this podcast.
Wait, Brian.
You're wanting to know if I'm for it making it on the shelf?
Yeah, is it canon?
Yeah, and it's not one of my favorite movies, but I think like Stefan was saying, you can watch it almost at any place in the movie, know where it's at, and just be like, oh, hey, Forrest Gump, here we go. Like it would stop me channel surfing if I was at a hotel scrolling through channels.
Right.
Yeah. Are we gonna ask if you have watched the rest of Shogun Assassin?
Yeah,
for
did
the
you finish Shogun
tiebreaker?
Assassin?
No, we shouldn't ask that yet.
We shouldn't ask that. Yeah, okay. This is gonna be a recurring theme.
Yeah,
a recurring theme now.
That's fine. It's
We'll
like
just
I said,
revisit.
no, Brian, tell me if I'm wrong. The numbers show that I mean,
Dude, the most attention episode, Shogun Assassins.
Yeah.
If nothing else. I mean, yeah.
Whoever owns the rights to that
Name the whole time. Crime. I don't think you're
like my gym doesn't want me to give my key fob to my wife to use.
I don't think you're Wayne.
I don't do that.
You're not pirating satellite boxes.
Yeah, I mean, I'm paying for it.
Yeah.
It's not. You guys are looking at me like I'm not talking about laundering money here, fellas. I'm just saying, like, is that illegal to share? You guys, every time I say the word share passwords, you guys freeze up like I'm talking about like selling H. Like guys, calm down. It's but am I wrong? Am I thinking? Am I just committing felonies left and right with like?
No, I don't really care. In fact, if I wanted to watch something, I'd be like, hey, Chris. You got that?
I got yeah. I've completely I've socially engineered my life to such a place where I have all the streamers.
I
don't
ask
pay
in
for all the
code.
streamers, but I've got them.
I would ask in code though.
Why though? Why are you scared?
So
I need. Hold on.
because the
We
Big
need to-
Brother's watching, man. Big
What's
Brother's
he watching? Is it? Am I breaking? I mean, is it just like a social contract, or that I'm breaking by sharing my password, or am I committing a crime?
I don't know. Did you ever read the terms of use?
No,
I don't either. I have no idea if it's legal or not. It just seems kind of gray.
You know
That's
what?
all I'm saying.
I really wish that Travis McConnell was here right now to answer this question, because Travis McConnell, the official sponsor of the Freedom Cats podcast, would be able to answer this question of whether or not sharing my passwords are illegal.
Are you just now signing up for phone a friend? I want to call
I
a friend.
might.
Can I call a friend?
No, and this will be
Who are we calling today, Chris?
And actually, this will be a good question to give Travis on his upcoming show that he's going to be doing on the Freedom Cats podcast network.
No kidding.
Yeah.
Do we know what the name is?
Not yet. No, I don't think he does. I don't think he's got that far, but he's.
So what is it, a call-in?
I think it's going to be answering questions, but not like answering like law questions like, hey, I have an annuity that I
Be
want
like
to
a
roll
car
over.
talk kind of a thing?
No, it's also going to be like, hey, my partner just admitted to me that when he was driving to college one summer, he accidentally hit a guy and killed him. Do I have to turn him in? Like those kind of questions.
I'm going to listen.
Right? Like these are the questions that people have.
Yeah.
Like I asked Travis the other day about that 50-mile. There's like a 50-mile zone in Yellowstone where you can kill somebody.
What? Mm-hmm. I've never heard of this.
Okay, so Yellowstone. Here's a little preview of the show. Yellowstone is in Wyoming. Okay. But a part of it spills over into Idaho.
Okay.
Now, legally speaking, Yellowstone is under Wyoming's jurisdiction. And so if you kill someone in the 50-mile tract that spills over into Idaho, they cannot put a jury together to convict you because the jury has to be made of people from Wyoming, and you committed the crime in Idaho, but you're under the jurisdiction of Wyoming.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
But isn't Yellowstone like a federal
It's a national park, but it's operated by the state of Wyoming.
Okay, so it's not federal ground. It's actually still owned by Wyoming.
Well, listen, I'm not the lawyer.
I don't know. Like, we should probably. This was going to
You
be.
should listen to that episode then if you want these questions answered.
We're going to call. We're going to call and ask this question.
So Travis McConnell, sponsor of this show, upcoming show.
Before you take anybody to this little strip of land and murder them, listen to the show.
Yes,
Right.
absolutely.
Because there might be a loophole in there.
And
you'd be
before
like, "Damn
anyone
it."
invites you to Yellowstone, make sure you listen to the show because you might learn something. So Forrest Gump is in the canon. Congratulations.
Much to Chris's chagrin.
Not chagrin. I just don't think it's, I mean, I just believe that films that make the canon should be, held to a quality standard. You guys don't. And it's fine. There's a place, there's a place for some people like Popeyes, other people like Chick-fil-A. I get it. It's fine. And this is a Popeyes movie.
So you're saying this is like knockoff movie?
No, I'm just saying, like, if this movie was a chicken sandwich, it would taste like grease and regret.
I felt that feeling before. It's about 5 minutes after you eat it that you're like, oh
yeah.
Yeah.
You know who has the best chicken sandwich in town?
Okay, I have a question. Like, is this fast food?
No,
Or-
just hands down best chicken sandwich.
No, but it can't be hands down best chicken. There are two separate categories. There's like sit down restaurant chicken sandwich, and then there's like it's served to me in a bag. Which one is this? Is one or the other?
Then you've already ruined the question because I'm going to take it out of the fast food realm and put it into the sit down.
Okay, so who's got the best chicken sandwich in town?
Spikes.
Spikes has the best chicken.
Have
sandwich
you guys
in
tried
town.
their chicken sandwich?
No.
With the Cajun mayo?
Yeah.
Cajun aioli.
Aioli.
Yeah,
Yes.
you got to say aioli.
The best rebrand of the last
Ever.
100 years.
of a condiment ever.
Yeah.
Ever.
It's like taking the Lunchables and making it charcuterie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
Margarine
a meat
might be
tray.
close.
No, it's a charcuterie board. It's a deli tray.
Is there aioli on that?
Yeah, no, a deli tray is just a charcuterie board is just a deli tray that someone believed in.
I like that. That's fantastic.
So speaking of the whole Popeyes Chick-fil-A thing, just watched a movie yesterday, not Forrest Gump, with my son. The new Rescue Rangers movie.
It slaps so hard.
It's so good. But the cynical Peter Pan that's like re-engineering these characters for B movies.
Yeah.
Like B movie knockoffs. Like
It's
Fish Lady from the Sea. It's like knockoff B movie
Mermaid.
Little Mermaid.
What the hell
And
are
they
you guys
like
talking
Okay, so they just put out this movie, Chip and Dale Rescue Rangers. Okay. But
I saw your post on that. Okay. So we're talking about cartoons.
kind of. Do you remember Who Framed Roger Rabbit?
Yeah.
Okay, so this is the spiritual sequel to Who Framed Roger Rabbit. Cartoons are a part of our lives. Like Chip and Dale are actors who booked a show called Rescue Rangers, and they interact in the real world. It's hilarious. It is so good. Again, now talk about movie with a short shelf life. That movie's going to be like popular for. I mean, those references are going to like fall off pretty quick because like it's fun. We did a double feature at my house yesterday. We watched Chip and Dale's Rescue Rangers, and then we fired up Who Framed Roger Rabbit. And that was really interesting because my son, Sullivan, who's 7, he had a lot of reference points that he understood in Chip and Dale Rescue Rangers. Little to none in Who Framed Roger Rabbit.
Right.
Like he didn't know any of the Warner Brothers cartoons because it's not viable. I mean, it's not. I mean, it's those things are. I don't. They're not pushing out new.
Yeah, it's like
Bunny stuff.
Hanna-Barbera and
Right.
those characters.
Yeah, Betty Boop. My kid has no idea who
Right,
Betty
right.
Boop is, right? But yeah, Chip and Dale's Rescue, like the whole like so. Like Dale has CGI corrective surgery.
Yeah.
So like Dale in the movie is like a CGI character, but Chip didn't get the surgery.
He's still a cartoon.
So he's still a 2D cartoon.
He got upstaged by Baloo because he had the resurgence from the remake Jungle Book. Yeah,
It's
doing a Comic-Con with Dale and Tigra
right.
there as well.
Well, what's really funny though is like, so a funny thing about that is like, okay, Sonic the Hedgehog is in it, but he's
ugly Sonic?
He's ugly
Yeah.
Sonic. Because I don't know if you remember when they did the Sonic the Hedgehog movie, they released like an image of Sonic, and everyone like lost their minds about what he looked like. So this movie, they call him Ugly Sonic, and they've changed a little bit about him. And so, because like Disney does not own the rights to Sonic the Hedgehog, they do not at all own the right. But because he's Ugly Sonic, and if you listen, they only refer to him as Ugly Sonic. It fits under parody. And so they're using him. They can use Ugly Sonic in the movie.
That's beautiful.
Yeah, they are towing a line in this movie, man.
Ugly Sonic, uglier crime. So Ugly Sonic didn't get to make the actual movie, and now he's going out with cops. And his show is Ugly Sonic, uglier crimes. So anyway, the whole Chick-fil-A Popeyes thing is like the Popeye sandwich went through the B movie recreator.
Yeah.
And so that's where that whole
There
thing
we
came
go. You close the loop.
Close the loop.
That's
on
what we were doing for
That
you.
movie does sound pretty phenomenal. I might watch that just because of the description.
It was
you guys
super
gave.
good. I really enjoyed it. It's by Lonely Island. So like Adam Sandberg and those dudes, the guys who did like
Okay,
from
so,
Saturday
yeah.
Night Live, the
Right,
guy, you know, they produced it. I mean, it was really good.
really good.
It was really good. All right. Well, now it's my pick.
You know what you're going to do?
I know what I'm going to do.
You going to tell us?
You know, I'll tell you right now. I'm doing the movie that should have won Best Picture in 1995 instead of this saccharine sweet Hallmark movie of a card. I'm doing Pulp Fiction.
Oh,
nice.
I was
All
not
right.
expecting that. I thought you were going to go the other way. Pulp Fiction, right on.
I'm doing Pulp Fiction.
This is his, what do you call that? Second chance?
Redemption arc.
Redemption, yeah.
No,
Yes,
no,
yes.
no, it's not because
total-
I was
total
right.
redemption.
He's
I was
Anakin
right.
Skywalker
Hey, you know
in
what? Real
Return of the
quick, you know
Jedi
what,
right
guys?
now.
Here, real quick. You know what? I'm going to open up the floor
They're
real quick.
pulling the mask off.
He's
Yeah.
going with a for sure yes.
He
So
just
that's why-
saved Luke from the Emperor.
He's got the high
By the
ground.
way, I meant to do this earlier, but we'll do it right now. Now that you've heard the overwhelming response from our listeners about the Shogun Assassin episode, would you like an opportunity to reopen the vote?
No. I'm sticking with
Okay, you know what? You're going to regret it one day, boys.
You will regret it.
Yeah. All right. Well, that's it for us. So on behalf of these two, I'm Chris Black. He's Stefan King. He's Jody Claypool. Brian, the producer, the best man in the chair there is. We are the Freedom Cats.